Pick another one.
Much appreciated. Well, I'll tell you what. Since we both have so much background in astrophysics, how about we take this call about the Big Bang from Khaled?
All righty. Khaled in Toronto, thanks for waiting. You're on with Noah.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Sure can.
Hi. So first of all, I want to say thanks for taking my call, Noah and Matt. So I've been a big fan of the show. I've been watching since I was like 13.
Thanks for making me feel old.
I'm 19 now, so...
All right, not that old.
Yeah, so...
the fact that I was already doing the show for 8 years before you started watching it is funny.
Honestly, it's been a good 8 years, honestly. So I turned into like somewhat of an atheist when I was 15. And I started like questioning a lot of like the Big Bang Theory. So I know your stance on it in particular, but I was just wondering, so the Big Bang Theory has a lot of like unknown variables, meaning we don't really know where the universe came from. And I'm pretty sure you said that in an earlier call as well. Mm-hmm. So would it not be rational to make the argument that since the universe is expanding, obviously, it had to have started from a singular point. Isn't it rational to say that there should have been a mover or someone to initially start that expansion?
No, that would not be rational.
Because physics breaks down just before we get to the point of a singularity. Also, I have a friend who's a physicist who's looking into alternate cosmologies that may eventually, and if the data seems to bear out, may give us a completely different view of the Big Bang. Big Bang cosmology is merely, this is the best current explanation of all the available facts. However, there's a point at which the math and the physics break down, a point at which we cannot explore beyond that and cannot make declarations about what is or was or what caused it. Certainly, there has to have been something that accounts for the transition from the things that we can't explore and don't understand to the local presentation of the universe that we have, but we have no idea what that is or could be.
Right, so to say that someone needed to move it, or even something needed to move it, is making a huge assumption that it can't have caused itself. Right, like there are theories within Big Bang cosmology that time, causation, etc., all began with the Big Bang. In which case, it would be logically impossible for something to have caused it.
Yeah, if there was no time before, then their causal actions are temporal. They require time.
Right.
However, I will say, I'm not in any way denying that it is reasonable for people to infer a mover, because what they're doing is extrapolating from what they know and understand and applying it to this other thing. The problem is that I don't know what the justification is for applying what you know about X to something that is not X.
Can I tell you the justification?
I'm sorry?
Could I tell you the justification?
Sure. Please.
So I would think I'm a pretty rational person and like I go about things logically.
Most people do.
So if we're observing the universe and everything we know in the universe, everything that was made originally had a cause. And now I'm not saying that my beliefs specifically, I believe that it was like there was an initial mover. But I don't believe in like the Christian God, like, oh, they're watching over us. And
one of the problems is that you just said everything that's made. And so made is a very, I don't know, weaselly word, because we don't have any reason to think that the universe was made.
Right. Again, that's what you're trying to prove.
Everything that's come into existence.
Do you have any example of anything that has not come into existence?
Okay, so I saw you said we don't have it. If we don't have an example of nothing, sorry, could you fill the blanks? I remember you made this statement, and I had an answer.
Yeah, if we don't have any examples of a thing that didn't come into existence, we can't thereby draw conclusions about the nature of a thing that didn't come into existence.
And it's worse than that, because what my objection is, let's assume for a second that there is all of this which came into existence, which we're not necessarily sure that's true, and then there is something else that did not come into existence. So now we have X is these things that came into existence, and not X are things that didn't come into existence. We have no examples of not X, but even if we did, my objection was that I don't know what the justification is for extrapolating facts about X and saying that they apply to not X. And so even if there was something that didn't come into existence, I think it would be clearly, obviously a mistake to conclude that because this fact about X is true of X, that it's also true of not X, and that's not the case.
Yeah. Okay, I can understand that view as well. So I just have another quick question. I know you guys are running out of time. Actually, technically the show should be over, but so I'll make this quick. So how do you? So I think it's impossible, first of all, to prove the existence of a God, which makes it really like.
I would say currently impossible.
Currently, well, we don't know if
right.
any means could ever be like we don't know how to.
That's why I added the word currently. The situation may change. I'm not aware of any way to demonstrate this now. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, that's fair. So I was just wondering, like, so evolutionary wise, how do you explain the need for like humans to constantly wonder where the universe came from? Like, how does that help us on an evolutionary scale? And also, if our thoughts...
Oh, that's easy.
Yeah, I was going to say, are you asking how curiosity helps us from an evolutionary perspective?
I guess so, yeah.
I mean, I feel like you can just kind of look around at human inventiveness and that sort of answers itself, right?
Learning about the world benefits us. And being curious about things that we don't understand is exactly what that is. At one point, we didn't understand electricity, and now we have a better understanding of it. So we are an inquisitive species, and we benefit from that because it teaches us about the world. The fact that there are questions that we can't currently answer and may never be able to answer is not surprising because we ask questions.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. I'm just asking that question because so my parents are very religious, and I grew up in a Muslim household, but I was always like skeptical since I was a kid, and every time I was skeptical, my mom would tell me to like look outside, look at the trees, look at and that would just drive me crazy because it didn't really explain anything.
For what it's worth, though, that's the one that the Quran keeps going back to again and again, right? Just trees, mountains, rain.
And side note, I apologize for this. Going back to the previous call about nobody knew about blood before Jesus, it reminds me of the things in the Quran where like it describes a fetus. As if nobody had ever seen a bunch of agrarian people who were raising and birthing animals had never seen a miscarriage or a no, and nobody's ever cracked an egg and been surprised by what was inside of it. It's just bizarre.
Yeah, and also there's a thing about the Dead Sea or the sea separating in the middle, so something like that, and.
The waves beneath the waves argument. Yeah.
I was always skeptical. Like I don't believe any of that stuff, but I just like I can't seem to knock the I constantly because I've been watching this show for a while and I was an atheist for like a long time, but I just can't seem to rationally think about I think it's a human issue as well that. We don't want to believe that we came from nothing.
Tough.
Or that there's no purpose, right?
I agree with you. I agree that it is difficult.
That is a desire. I'd rather believe that I'm loved. I'd rather believe that somebody cares about me. I'd rather believe that somebody has my best interests at heart. Actually, Adam Savage.
I would rather believe that Matt is Anna Kendrick. Right?
Yeah. Okay, but couldn't I then say if you would rather believe that you want to be loved? Isn't that sort of a religious belief?
No, it's a desire. And what I care more about than whether or not I'm loved is what the truth is. So I'd rather not have cancer. I'd rather be convinced that I don't have cancer. But whether or not I have cancer is not impacted by how much I don't want to have it or don't want to acknowledge it or don't want to believe it. And so there's another preference of mine that is going to take priority of that, which is I'd rather know the truth about whether or not I have cancer.
Yeah. So I was just saying because I'm not saying they're necessarily right, but I think religion first spiraled forward because it sort of gave people hope moving on.
Yep.
It gave something people to like cling onto. And I know you're really skeptical about like religion in classrooms. Yeah, well, a lot of things. Well, yeah, everything. Basically.
I want comparative religions taught in classrooms, and I don't think it should be an elective. I think it should be a required course.
Right.
Amen.
So my question is, if people find solace, or if they find meaning or purpose in their life following a religion, is that morally wrong or morally bad if they don't impose it on anyone else? Like my mom, for example, she's a Muslim, like, to the core.
Does she vote?
But, yes, she does.
Then she's disqualified from your claim that she's not imposing it on anybody else, because what you believe in fact informs your actions and your decisions. And when you vote on behalf of those things, you are effectively impacting the rest of the world. I don't believe that there's any belief that one can truly hold that has no impact on any other belief or anything else. I think there's some that are less harmful.
Right. But the problem with that is you're sort of like you're supposing that your belief is the right one.
Correct. My belief is that theism has not met its burden of proof.
Yeah, right. Now, keep in mind that it's not in itself unethical or immoral or wrong to think that your belief is right, especially when your belief is right. Right, like, so if all the evidence agrees with you, if believing what you believe is the best explanation currently available in the universe, then it's not closed-minded. It's not detrimental in any way to then say, yes, this is the way things are. Right. The alternative to that is that we all get our own realities, and obviously, we can't function as a society like that.
Yeah. Also, like that was another thing as well. Like the whole idea of an afterlife and that sort of.
That'd be awesome, wouldn't it?
It would be really awesome, but it doesn't really make sense. But.
Yeah, and until I have a reason to think that there is an afterlife, my primary concern is always going to be the one and only life I know I'm going to get because I'm living it.
Yes, exactly. Well, that was my biggest question. So when I came out to my mom about like these beliefs, what I told her was, so if I'm a rational thinking, I'm pretty sure I got this from you, Matt, a long time ago. If I'm a rational thinking human being and I abide by what I believe are good moral values, I live my life, doing well, treating others with good intentions, then it's like, isn't it morally not unethical, but isn't it immoral to then subjugate me to eternal hell if I just don't believe?
Yes.
And, yeah, and that's what I had told her, and she didn't really know what to say. So she just kind of, just like.
Especially when you consider what Matt was saying earlier about the fact that you cannot choose your beliefs, right? Like if I decided right now that I really, really wanted to believe in God, I can't. That's not how beliefs work.
Exactly what I told her as well. Mm-hmm. It's like she would try to get me to. She would never impose a religion on me, but she would ask me to pray and how she would feel like it's an out of body experience when she's praying and she feels really like connected with God. And it's like I told her if I'm praying and I'm not reciprocating those feelings, then does my prayer really count?
Right. Well, and also I get that same feeling when I eat mushrooms or take LSD. It doesn't make it like it's all subjective. All the feelings. Mm-hmm. It's like how you describe them. Some people say God. Some people say, whatever. Yeah. So that was basically all I had for today.
Sure. Well, thanks a lot for calling. We really appreciate it, especially people who waited all the way through the lengthy show. Yeah. We got 2 more calls I want to get to, but go ahead and call us back sometime. Always room for more questions. And don't forget about the other shows like Talk Heathen and stuff like that. Appreciate your time.